Well, I threw my hat into the ring for television probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I've read some of the best scripts that I'd ever read, scripts that if they were movies I would do them in a heartbeat. But I thought to myself, in terms of the type of stuff I want to do and the things that I want to approach, it's probably going to be on cable. In fact, it's probably going to be on premium cable. This is where I thought 4 years ago. And then I went, well, basic is doing some cool stuff, AMC and FX TNT. And then I was thinking, well, I'm definitely not going to do that one. But this is the one, I mean, I read it and I went, wow, this is really, it's pushing me on. I like the character so much. I like these heroes. At the same time, it's just kind of like this, I was amazed that they were so supportive. I'm ready to go there. And so I said, yeah, let's do it. Well, a couple of reasons. One is that I looked at my wife's schedule. She eventually started doing 15. And she just works so hard. To be the lead in an hour, nobody really understands the amount of hours that you have to put in to do that. I mean, 16, 18-hour days, week after week after week. So that was one. Number two was, if they'll still have me, I want to make movies. I mean, that's where I started, and that's a big part of it.
She gave you any advice for a TV?
She gives me advice every day. Of course she gives me advice. You say that, and I think that's something that is certainly worth continuing to explore, because I think that he's a guy that is better with women. He's Joe Carroll is someone that is so charming. You know what I mean? He's such a, and my character really admires his way to manipulate people and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that Ryan really has those kinds of skills, except for women, or at least a couple of women. You know what I mean? Even with the Natalie Z character, he's a little awkward. I mean, he kind of talks about how he just kind of split, never called her. I think that's going to be part of what we discover in terms of his complexity, and where that actually goes, it's hard to say. But I think that he's a guy that Kevin said this to me early on, and this sort of has become my linchpin. It's something that I want to keep coming back to. He's a guy that feels like death surrounds him. He's been in a lot of experiences where people have died, people close to him have died. Things in my mind that may not even make it into the pilot are part of sort of like my backstory. And I think that, strangely enough, even though getting back into the field and having the opportunity to work on finding Joe and putting him back in jail wakes him up, makes him kind of crawl out of the grave and give him a purpose for living again. It's also going to create a situation where there's going to be people dropping dead all the time, and I think that's going to be continued torture. I love it. But I'll tell you what I thought, wow, that's my whole performance, because that's what I'm used to doing. I look at movies and I go, that's it, that's all I did. And then I had to remind myself, that was not my whole performance. That's just like, it's just the beginning, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get at least 2 on the air.
Yeah.
That was an interesting adjustment that I had to make, because when you do a movie, obviously it can all get cut out or whatever, but you kind of construct the performance so that you show all the things about that character that you want to show. So I didn't show everything I wanted to show about, but I didn't have to. Well, let's see. I mean, so many ways. There's so many details in terms of where he's from, his family history, And I think that, you know, it's interesting for a guy that it's not that often. I think it's probably partly self-fulfilling. So it's not that often that I've been able to be the guy who, you know, is the hero. Is the one that, you know, carries a gun and gets the thrill. It's like that's, for this match, as many years as I've been doing this, it hasn't really come into my life all that often. And so I think that that's something that I'm sort of hoping to embrace.